Have you ever noticed how different it feels when you put on a mask? Not just the kind from the costume aisle, but any mask. A smile you don't mean, a laugh that covers silence, a voice that sounds steadier than you really feel inside. I learned this lesson long before I had words for it. I was a child on Halloween night, standing by the front door trying to fix the elastic strap of a cheap plastic mask. The house smelled faintly of pumpkin. The porch light buzzed with the hum of moths, and outside the neighborhood was alive with footsteps and laughter. I slipped that mask over my face and felt myself change. Suddenly, I wasn't the shy kid anymore. I wasn't the one who froze when asked a question in class. Behind that thin piece of plastic, I was bold, loud, and fearless. I marched down the sidewalk with a pillowcase for candy and a new sense of power. Strangers saw a pirate, a superhero, maybe a little monster, but they didn't see me, and in a way, that was the point. It's strange, isn't it? How safe we can feel when hidden. That night, I loved the thrill of being someone else, but I also remember the ending. Later, at home, I peeled the mask off. The strap snapped again against my ear and cool air rushed over my damp skin. My reflection in the hallway mirror was back to being just me, small, quiet, wondering if the courage I borrowed from plastic could ever really belong to me. That's the thing about masks. They give us freedom borrowed, not freedom earned. They work for a night, but they never last into the morning. Looking back now, I see how that Halloween mask was only the beginning. Childhood made it playful, but adulthood made it costly. I didn't stop wearing masks when the candy ran out. I just traded one kind for another. And maybe you know what that feels like too. Think about it. How often do we wear masks even now? A mask of confidence in the office, when inside we feel unsteady. A mask of calm with our children, when we're actually exhausted. A mask of humor with friends because we're afraid of the silence that comes with honesty. The lesson I didn't understand as a child was simple but sharp. A mask can give you a moment of escape, but it cannot give you belonging. Belonging only comes when we risk being seen as we truly are. That first Halloween taught me both sides, the joy of pretending and the relief of finally taking the mask off. And even then, in the quiet, I sensed something. That one day, the real work of my life wouldn't be in choosing costumes, but in choosing courage. So let me ask you, what mask have you been wearing lately? The one you slip on at work, or with family, or even when you look in the mirror, and how heavy has it grown? Because here's the truth I've carried with me since that night. Freedom that depends on hiding isn't freedom at all. Real freedom is scarier. It's walking into the room without the mask and saying, "This is me." Even if your voice shakes, even if your eyes water, even if you don't feel ready, the mask may make you feel untouchable for a moment, but when it comes off, and it always does, you are left with yourself. And the sooner you learn to stand as you are, the sooner you'll realize that courage was never in the mask at all. It was waiting in you. That's where my story begins, with a mask on Halloween night, with a child who thought pretending was power, and with the slow discovery, year by year, that the most powerful thing any of us can do is live unmasked. By the time we grow up, most of us don't need a costume shop anymore. We carry whole wardrobes of invisible masks, ready for every room we step into. I know I did. There was the mask I wore at work, the polished smile, the steady tone, the nodding head that said, "I've got this," even when I didn't. There was the mask I wore with friends, the quick humor, the easy laugh, the way I kept conversations light, because I was afraid they might pull back if I showed how heavy things really felt. And of course, there was the mask I wore at home, the calm parent, the responsible partner, the one who had it all under control. But beneath those layers, anxiety, fatigue, uncertainty, the very things the masks were meant to hide. At first, I convinced myself the masks were harmless. After all, wasn't it normal to put on a brave face? Didn't everyone do it? I told myself it was a form of kindness, that I was protecting others from my struggles, keeping the peace, keeping the mood light. And maybe, in some small ways, that was true. But over time, the cost of hiding became clearer. Here's the mistake I made. I believe people loved the mask more than the real me. I thought they wanted the confident coworker, the always funny friend, the composed parent. I thought my role was to give people the version of me they would find easiest to accept. The trouble was, the more I relied on those masks, the more disconnected I became. From others, yes, but also from myself. The smile that felt safe began to feel heavy. The laugh I offered so quickly began to sound hollow, even to my own ears. And at the end of the day, when the house grew quiet and the lights clicked off, I would feel it, the weight of pretending. I don't know if you've ever had that moment, lying in bed and realizing that you played a part all day, but no one actually saw you. It's a strange kind of loneliness, being surrounded by people and still unseen. And it taught me something I wish I had learned sooner. A mask may protect you from rejection in the short term, but it also keeps you from real connection. Because here's the truth. The very things I was hiding, my doubts, my weariness, my imperfection, were the things that made me human. The things that could have allowed others to relate to me, to love me, to know me fully. But I was so busy protecting myself from being hurt that I ended up protecting myself from being loved. It's not easy to admit that. Even now, there's a part of me that wants to reach for another mask just to soften the confession. But honesty, however uncomfortable, is lighter to carry than disguise. And the more I dared to name that truth, the more I began to notice how many of us are walking around in costumes we never take off. Maybe you felt it too. Maybe you've walked into a meeting with a smile painted across your face, even as your chest tightened. Maybe you've posted a cheerful update online while quietly feeling left behind. Maybe you've kept your struggles hidden from the very people who'd be willing to help, because you feared being seen as weak. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. The world can make us feel like we have to earn our place by being unflawed, by being endlessly capable, by being always fine. But masks are only temporary fixes. They may shield us from one kind of pain, but they also starve us of what we truly crave, to be accepted as we are. And here's the diamond line I carry now. A mask can spare you a bruise, but it can also cost you a life. I don't mean physical life, I mean the richness of it. The laughter that comes from being understood, the comfort of being held without explanation, the freedom of belonging without performance. All of that slips away when the mask never comes off. When I look back on those years of pretending, I feel both tenderness and regret. Tenderness, because I understand why I did it. Masks feel safe when the world feels sharp. Regret, because I see how many chances for closeness I lost while I was busy protecting myself from being real. And maybe that's the quiet tragedy of masks. They promise safety, but deliver loneliness. The lesson I had to learn again and again was that authenticity might risk rejection. But without it, connection is impossible. So I'll leave you with this thought as we step into the next part of this story. Every mask we wear has a hidden cost. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is to lay it down, even for a moment, and let someone see the face beneath. There comes a point in every story of hiding when the mask stops working. For me, it happened in the simplest of ways. I was sitting across from a friend one evening. It wasn't a dramatic moment. No spotlight, no confrontation. Just two people with coffee cups cooling between us. I had been doing what I always did, smiling, nodding, keeping the conversation safe and light. I had practiced it so long that it felt second nature. But then, my friend tilted their head and asked quietly, "You always seem fine, but how are you really?" Those words landed harder than I expected. My mask slipped, not because I wanted it to, but because I suddenly realized it had been doing its job too well. My friend, someone who cared about me, couldn't see me anymore. They saw only the performance, only the smile, the steady voice, the practiced, "I'm okay." The real me was buried under layers of pretending. That question cracked something inside. I remember staring down at the mug in front of me, watching the steam fade and feeling a kind of grief I hadn't named before. Grief that, even in the company of someone who loved me, I had managed to hide so completely that they didn't recognize my truth. It was then I understood the real cost of wearing a mask for too long. If you hide long enough, even love can't find you. That realization shook me. Until then, I thought of my masks as harmless shields, things I could slip on and off at will. But what I didn't see was how heavy they had become, how tightly they clung to my skin. Pretending had stopped being a choice. It had become a habit, and habits have a way of convincing us they are who we are. In that moment, I saw the mask for what it was, not protection, but distance. A wall that stood between me and the very people I wanted closest. It had kept me safe from rejection, yes, but it had also kept me from intimacy. And intimacy, more than anything, was what I longed for.
Maybe you felt it too. That ache when someone hugs you, and you wonder if they're embracing the real you, or just the version you've allowed them to see. That tension in your chest when you want to speak the truth, but fear the silence that might follow. That moment when you realize the performance is so polished, you've forgotten the sound of your own unfiltered voice. The crack in my mask came with pain, but also with clarity. I began to notice how often I answered, "I'm fine," when I wasn't. How quickly I laughed when silence scared me. How much energy it took to play roles that didn't fit. It was exhausting, and for the first time, I let myself feel how tired I was. That night, I didn't suddenly throw my masks away. Change rarely happens like that, but I did whisper to myself a truth I had long avoided. I don't want to live unseen anymore. And that whisper mattered, because sometimes it's not the grand decisions that save us. Sometimes it's the quiet confessions we make to ourselves, alone in a kitchen with a cooling cup of coffee. Those are the moments when the soul finally admits it's ready for something different. Here's what I learned. When the mask slips, it can feel like failure. It can feel embarrassing, even shameful, to be caught in your hiding. But it is also an invitation, a chance to be known, to be loved, to be honest. And honesty, though it may feel like risk, is the only soil where real love can grow. That evening changed me. Not all at once, but enough that I could no longer ignore the weight of pretending. I realized that if I kept living this way, smiling when I wanted to cry, agreeing when I longed to dissent, I would slowly disappear from my own life. And that, more than rejection, was the true fear, vanishing behind a mask so long that I forgot how to take it off. So when my friend asked that question, "How are you really?" I didn't answer fully that night, but I carried it with me, and it kept echoing until I could no longer pretend I didn't hear it. Because in the end, the greatest danger of masks isn't that others won't see you. It's that you'll forget how to see yourself. When I look back now, I see that what frightened me most about letting the mask slip wasn't weakness, it was freedom. Søren Kierkegaard once wrote that anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. And in my own life, I finally understood what he meant. That dizzy feeling wasn't proof that something was wrong with me. It was proof that I was standing at the edge of a choice. For years, my anxiety about being seen had felt like a flaw. I thought it meant I wasn't strong enough, or confident enough, or worthy enough. But what Kierkegaard showed me is that anxiety is not just panic or fear. It is possibility pressing against us, asking, "Who will you choose to be?" When my friend asked that piercing question, "How are you really?" I felt it. The spin, the vertigo, the dizziness of freedom. I could keep wearing the mask, safe but unseen. Or I could risk removing it and step into a life that might be scarier, but truer. The truth is, avoiding discomfort had become my pattern. Every time I felt the urge to open up, I shut it down. Every time my chest tightened with honesty, I forced a smile instead. I thought I was keeping myself safe, but I was really multiplying the discomfort, stretching it across days, weeks, years. Pretending may numb you for a moment, but it demands interest later, and the debt grows heavy. Avoiding discomfort only multiplies it. Facing truth, though frightening, saves us. It doesn't erase the fear, but it puts the fear in perspective. I remember the first time I tried to answer honestly after years of, "I'm fine." My voice shook, my throat felt dry. But once the words came out, "Actually, I've been struggling," something loosened. It was as if my body exhaled for the first time in months. And instead of rejection, I found connection. My friend leaned in, not away.
The world did not shatter. If anything, it grew more solid beneath my feet. That moment showed me something masks never could. People cannot love a disguise. They may appreciate it. They may even enjoy it. But they cannot attach their hearts to it. Love requires truth, and truth, even when imperfect, creates belonging. This is the wisdom that only experience can carve into you. I had to live through the weariness of pretending to finally believe that authenticity is lighter, even with its risks. I had to feel the loneliness of hiding to finally recognize the gift of being known. So now, when I feel that old anxiety rising, I try to reframe it. Instead of treating it as a warning siren, I treat it as a threshold. My heart races because I am about to choose something real. My palms sweat because freedom is within reach. The dizziness is not danger. It is the evidence that I am free to step forward. Kierkegaard called anxiety the dizziness of freedom, and I've come to think of it as the moment when the mask is in one hand and my true face waits uncovered. That spin, that trembling, is the sign that I'm no longer locked in costume. It means the choice is mine. And here is the diamond line I carry. People cannot love a mask. They can only love the person behind it. That sentence has saved me again and again. On the days when it feels easier to hide, I remind myself, love is never earned through perfection. It is given when we risk showing the face beneath. Looking back, I don't condemn the younger version of myself who wore masks. I see them with compassion. They were doing what they thought was necessary to survive. But I also see clearly now that survival isn't the same as living. And living, truly living, requires courage. Not the grand, cinematic kind of courage, just the everyday courage of answering honestly, of telling a friend the truth, of letting your tears show, of admitting you don't have it all together. Wisdom isn't always about big revelations.
Sometimes it's about finally recognizing the quiet cost of hiding and choosing, in small ways, to stop paying it. So if you feel that same dizziness when you think about telling the truth, don't panic. That dizziness is the threshold. It's not weakness, it's freedom. It's the chance to step out from behind the mask and into the life that is waiting for you. If I could sit across from my younger self, the one clutching the Halloween mask a little too tightly, the one smiling through exhaustion at work, the one terrified of being seen, I know exactly what I'd say. I wouldn't scold or shame. I'd take their hand, look them in the eye, and offer gentle truths that I had to learn the hard way. The first thing I'd say is, don't fake fine. You think you're protecting people when you do that, but really, you're building walls around yourself. Every time you say, "I'm fine," when you're not, you lay another brick. After a while, those walls get so high that even the people who love you most can't climb over. If I could go back, I tell myself, you don't have to be okay all the time to be worthy of care. It's safe to say, I'm tired, or I'm struggling. Those words don't make you weak, they make you human. The second thing I'd say is, practice small honesty. You don't have to reveal everything at once. Start with one true sentence. Tell a friend you're nervous before a meeting. Admit to a colleague you didn't understand something. Let your partner know when you're worn out. These small acts of honesty are like loosening the strap of that Halloween mask. It doesn't come off all at once, but you can finally breathe. If I had practiced sooner, I would have discovered that the world doesn't crumble when you're real. More often than not, people lean closer. Then I tell myself, choose people who love your unmasked self. Not everyone will. Some will prefer the version of you that laughs on cue, that nods along, that hides the storms. But the right people, the ones who belong in your circle, will choose you unfiltered. They'll welcome the messy parts, the tired parts, the questioning parts. And here's the truth. It's better to lose someone who only loved your mask than to keep pretending and never be loved at all. And here's the warning I'd whisper. Don't carry masks into every room of your life. They get heavier with time, and eventually, they crack. The longer you wear them, the harder it becomes to remember the face beneath. You may wake up one day and feel like a stranger to yourself. I know this because it almost happened to me. Pretending feels easier in the moment, but the bill comes later, in loneliness, in disconnection, in the quiet ache of not being truly known. I'd remind my younger self that courage doesn't have to look loud. It doesn't have to be speeches or spotlights. Sometimes courage is as small as answering honestly when someone asks how you are. Sometimes it's choosing to pause before slipping into automatic laughter. Sometimes it's saying no when everything in you wants to say yes, just to please. These small acts are seeds. Plant enough of them, and one day you'll find yourself rooted in truth. Most of all, I'd reassure them, you don't have to earn love by being perfect. That's the lie masks whisper, that you must be flawless to be accepted. But the people worth keeping are the ones who lean in closer when you admit your flaws. They don't need you polished, they need you present. If I could speak directly into the heart of that younger version of me, I'd say this diamond line. Masks may protect you from pain, but they also protect you from love. And love, more than safety, is what keeps a soul alive. Looking back, I can't change the years I spent pretending, but I can carry the lessons forward. And if my words reach you now, maybe they can spare you some of the loneliness that hiding brings. So here is the distilled wisdom I'd pass on. Don't fake fine. Practice small honesty. Choose people who love your unmasked self. And remember, courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, "This is me." When I think of Halloween now, the first images that come to mind aren't the costumes or the candy. It's the masks scattered across the living room floor at the end of the night. Plastic faces turned sideways, straps tangled, faint traces of breath still clinging to the inside. They lie there quietly, waiting to be forgotten until next year. And every time I see them, I smile. Not because they're beautiful. Most of them are cracked or smudged with chocolate, but because they remind me of a life I once lived. A life where masks weren't just for October 31st. They remind me of all the years I tried to carry invisible masks into every day of the calendar, convincing myself that pretending was strength. But the truth I know now is this. The mask is for a night. Your face, your truth, is for a lifetime. That realization didn't come easily. It came in slow lessons, through the weight of pretending, the ache of loneliness, the grief of realizing love couldn't reach me when I stayed hidden. But it also came through small acts of courage, admitting I was tired, saying, "I don't know," letting my tears show in front of someone I trusted. Each time I laid down a mask, the world felt lighter. And here's what I've learned. When you put the mask aside, the air feels different. Conversations feel different.
Even silence feels different. It's no longer a prison, but a space where truth can breathe. I won't pretend it's easy. Being seen comes with risk. There will be people who misunderstand you. There will be moments when honesty costs you comfort. But there will also be moments, precious, unforgettable moments, when you are met with love so real it makes every risk worthwhile. Love doesn't require costumes. Belonging doesn't demand disguise. The people who truly matter will not love the mask. They will love the face beneath, the one you've been afraid to show. And if someone cannot accept that face, then their love was never yours to begin with. The Halloween mask on the floor becomes, for me, a quiet reminder. It says, pretending can be fun, but it is not a way of life. It says, you are allowed to be yourself, even when it feels unsteady. And most of all, it says, you don't have to wait until November 1st to take it off. So let me offer you this gentle call. One small act to carry into today. Set down one mask, just one. Maybe when a coworker asks how you are, you answer with one true sentence. Maybe when a friend calls, you tell them something real instead of brushing past. Maybe when you look in the mirror tonight, you pause, take a breath, and whisper to yourself, I am enough as I am. It doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be all at once. Start small. Start today. Because every mask you lay down gives you back a piece of your life. Every mask you set aside clears space for love to find you. Every mask you release teaches your soul to trust you again. And if you need reassurance, here it is. You are not alone in this. We all wear masks. We all fear being seen. But together, we can learn to loosen the straps, to breathe deeper, to step into the world as we are. That's not weakness. That's courage, the quiet, steady kind that changes lives. So tonight, as you see the masks lying on the floor, let them remind you, they have served their purpose, but their time is short. The truth is meant to last longer, and when the morning light falls across your face, uncovered, unpolished, human, remember this diamond line. The mask may make you safe for a night, but only the truth will set you free for a lifetime. The circle closes here, with the mask resting quietly nearby. The world outside may look the same, but you, unmasked, unhidden, are already different.